All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Of course, I have to go over to Rumble and make sure that that is actually happening over there. I do see Rumble Rants is working. A bunch of people actually commenting there already. We have an epic news roundup today. We have 7 news items plus 1, which we cannot link out because of various TOS. Hell, I don't even know if Rumble or Twitch will allow you to link to that sort of shit. So we'll be talking about that first. Crystal Mayo on Twitch. I knew it. You're live. Woo. Yes, indeed. Let's refresh the Rumble page really quickly here. Make sure that we're live there. I think that I am. Come on. Yeah, we're live over there. Just a second. Let me put it down here. Blackbeard13 on Rumble. Bullish. Hear you now, Sticks. Can you hear me now? Good. Anyway, the first bit of news that we're going to talk about today, I'm not going to get to any super chats before this. This is fairly important breaking news as of this morning, really late at night, of course. For those of you in the United States, a little bit different. I'm on the Amsterdam time zone, technically speaking, although I am not in Amsterdam, but I am in the Netherlands. Hunter Biden had a bunch of phone data. And it was, I guess, encrypted or password protected or some shit like that. And the claim is that it's been cracked by people on 4chan, including by someone based in Switzerland. And there was somebody who claimed to have a bunch of material from Hunter Biden who had fled there. I'm interested in seeing if we'll get Ashley Biden's unredacted complete diary or something like that. Oh, yeah, here's what Joe got up to when I was a teenager or something. That'd be quite interesting. I mean, a man can hope, right? I don't think that that's going to happen, though. And I've looked through a few of the screenshots that have been provided. People are still downloading it. It's like 350 plus gigabytes of material. Some of them, depending on their internet connection, are still downloading it as we speak, I'm sure. And the allegation is that that Hunter Biden's phone was indeed breached. They managed to get the password. And now that data is going to be made public. You do have some material leaking out from it. Although, again, if I see a screenshot, and I happen to know quite a few things about spurious screenshots, I don't take it to the bank that that's true. Even if I want it to be true, or in the case of a couple of them, I don't really want them to be true because it indicates that the so-called president's son is a raging pervert. I mean, we know that he is, but pervert on a different and more illicit level than just, hey, you screwed a hooker and got her pregnant while cheating on your dead brother's former wife. Yeah. So that is an allegation. I cannot personally vouch for the material that you're seeing, and nor can I, for legal reasons partially, nor can I say that you should download the files. I'm assuming that people that are more with it with regards to tech, that have a better sense of tech security and know what they're doing, are probably going to do a better job of getting that material and sorting through it than I could ever do. And so I'm just standing back. I'm standing down and standing by with regards to this and letting other people dig through it. And then I'm looking through 4chan and other sites as well to see the fallout from that. It could be nothing. I mean, we've already gotten so much incriminating material from the laptop from hell. We got that voicemail, for instance. We know that Joe Biden did talk to Hunter with regards to business deals. He had claimed that that wasn't the case. So we know that. We know that Hunter, this is separate, but I'll talk about this in brief at least, was calling Jill Biden a cunt, his stepmother, Joe Biden's current wife. There's all sorts of crazy shit going on with Hunter right now. You'll remember that this laptop was disclaimed by the legacy media. And they claimed that they didn't need to look into it because there was nothing to look into. They then apologized more recently, long after the election, about a year later, of course, and said, yeah, sorry, it was real. Sorry we didn't look into it. We were trying to do journalism and shit. 87 Sparky, there was an explosion happened at an oil plant. Many such cases. Hello from the free state of New Hampshire, says Kevin from the internet. I was born in the state of New Hampshire. I'm very, very happy about this. It means that by right, if I choose to relocate there and buy a home or something like that, nobody can say that I'm an out-of-stater. They could never call me a flatlander, but keep in mind I was technically born in New Hampshire, not in the state of Vermont. Fire down below. What are your thoughts on the Olmec colossal heads? Also the Bosnian pyramids. Methinks humans were more advanced than we are now 12,000 years ago. No, I don't think they were more advanced than us, but I do think that there were definitely more advanced technologies than archaeology can account for. Metal rusts away over time, it degrades, and so you might not be able to find, any specific remnants. People probably recycled a lot of material too, for some number of centuries. As far as the Olmec heads, I think that it's evidence of more advanced machining than archaeology gives credit to. As far as the pyramid over in former Yugoslavia, that, in my opinion, that is just a mountain. It's not actually a pyramid. I've seen no compelling evidence that there was any machining involved. I realized that there were some artifacts recovered, but you're going to find them anywhere. Basically, dig a test pit anywhere in the world that people were likely to have inhabited 10,000 years ago. You'll probably find a spear point or something like that. Jason Binder, hey Sticks, daily viewer here. Love the content. Have you ever read The Fourth Turning by Neil Howe? No, but I've heard of it. It's been mentioned before. We have a super chat over on Rumble. Noel Watcher 63. In your all video about milk, you wondered why these leftists look like their grandparents because they were raised by them. In some cases. Or by the state. I think there are many such cases, again. But anyway, yes, 4chan allegedly has the Hunter Biden iPhone contents cracked, and it's been posted multiple times. I will not link it out for legal purposes mainly, and possibly YouTube TOS. But you can look that up. If you use 4chan, you've probably already seen it. I'm sure it's filtered out into other internet sites as well. A good time had by all. It is the great happening. It is upon us. And anyway, we have a news report here. This is the New York Post, so, they fact check to a degree at least. Hunter Biden reportedly called Jill an entitled cunt in texts. Hunter Biden called his stepmom, Jill Biden, a vindictive moron and entitled cunt in text messages after she urged him to go to rehab to kick his drug habit, according to a new report. Now, context does apply here. He was balls to the wall high, probably 24/7. This is at the end of the 2010s, 2018 specifically. I'm assuming that he was a little bit out of it at the time. He was smoking some good Parmesan. He got some crack from Sleazy P. Martini, who will be the midterm co-host, by the way, for those that didn't see the announcement this morning. I'm not going to give him a pass, obviously, but it sounds like drugged up texts here if you read through it. Fuck my stepmother for always being as much of a selfish, silly, entitled cunt as you, he wrote to Haley as their brief relationship deteriorated. You'll remember that as his dead brother's former wife, the one he was cheating on roughly around the same time. Yeah, calling her a cunt. That makes a lot of sense, Hunter. You were totally sober at the time, by the way, when you made these emails. He also admitted to calling his stepmom a fucking moron, a vindictive moron, in a separate text exchange with his uncle, James Biden, a few days later. In text to his uncle, who is President Biden's brother, I think he had to sell his private island fairly recently. It was near Little St. James, or it might be a different Biden relative. I can't remember which one. Hunter said he had raged to Jill that he was smarter than her. And do you know the drunkest I've ever been is still smarter than you could ever be, even comprehend, and you're a shut grammar teacher that wouldn't survive one class in an Ivy graduate program, Hunter said in the text. I should probably pretend to slur my words when I repeat that. And you know, the drunkest I've ever been is still smarter than you could ever even comprehend, and you're a shit grammar teacher and couldn't survive one class in an Ivy graduate program, Hunter said in the text. So go fuck yourself, Jill. Let's all agree I don't like you any more than you like me. Yeah, probably relatively close to how he was sounding at the time. I don't know how a crackhead sounds, really. I've never spoken to one. Not in person when they're high, anyway. In another text to his uncle, Hunter bemoaned that his own father allegedly hadn't visited him during his prior rehab stints. Literally has never come to one. Never actually called me while in rehab, Hunter wrote of his father. So that's a little insane. You're sounding like Andy Dick more and more, who, by the way, will not face charges for sexually assaulting his, I don't know, flatmate or whatever the fuck it was. So Hunter's got some severe issues. You know, his issue now is the fact that all of this is out there publicly. Before, the issue was his crack addiction. Supposedly he kicked it, but, you know, he'll be back on the pipe at some point. Old habits die hard. I just find it funny because actually, again, not to defend Hunter Biden, but with Jill Biden, I actually agree with him. She is a vindictive moron. She's not unjustified in being vindictive. Look at how she looks daggers at Kamala Harris. Kamala deserves it, but there is that, hey, I'm higher than you, my husband's the president, and I really just don't fucking like you thing behind her. I think she feels personally disgruntled that Kamala was forced down the throat of the Biden administration as the running mate. I think she doesn't like that. I think she wanted Buttigieg or something like that, and she feels miffed about that. Like, hey, you know, my husband's a powerful man, and you know they're basically setting up to replace him with this thought here. She's right. I mean, I don't disagree with her, but I also think that Hunter's right. She is vindictive, quite clearly. We'll be talking more about Jill Biden later, ironically enough, because of that retired 3-star general who got canned from his job, Volesky, because of what he said to Jill Biden. Oh boy, don't you just fucking love this timeline? Isn't this the greatest fucking shit ever? Josie, when is the Styx Guar collab happening? I don't know about making heavy metal music, but I will be collaborating with Sleazy P. Martini. Make sure to watch his video and give him a subscription if you haven't already on his channel. Morning video, you can go to that. The link's in the description. Wolf Better. What's your opinion on attending a grad course to get a visa? I found a couple of programs that would waiver tuition and health insurance. Thanks to COVID, it's the only legal option left to me. Well, you know, if you want to get a visa, yeah, go for it. If you have the skills, you're willing to work very, very hard, yeah, go for it. Or you can just fucking walk across the border at this point. Biden's not going to stop you. Just make sure it's not the Texas border. Abbott will actually enforce the law down there. He's getting hammered by the DOJ for doing so, by the way. The Happy Plague Doctor. That's why a lot of historical places ban metal detecting, but I go anyway. Shh, don't tell mom. Yes, they don't want people to dig out the original nails that held Jesus to the cross or anything like that. Michael LaRusso. Apparently, Hunter is smoking low-quality rock. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the 10% from the big guy has his budget way, way down. You can only afford so much Parmesan. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic. Are you telling me that the Olmec heads aren't proof that there was a transcontinental African empire that created white people? Yes, unfortunately, that appears to be apocryphal, although it's possible. There was supposedly, I can't remember the name, one of the earliest major disappearances of a person, unaccounted for, on record actually was, if I remember correctly, an African king or prince from the kingdom of Mali who had set out basically due west from the coast of Africa, from the northwest Africa, and disappeared. Well, I mean, it's theoretically possible that they made it to the New World. It's not necessarily likely, but it's possible. They did have the shipbuilding equipment at the time. And I mean, it's not a huge, to go to the tip of Brazil would have taken them 10 days. So in theory, if they were moving in exactly the right direction with proper weather, they actually could have made it. Ryan Adams. Hey, Styx, what price are you buying more Bitcoin and Ethereum at? I'm hoping for another dump to 14K to 16K range. Clank on. Enjoyed the sleazy talk. I'm not exactly sure, but I am definitely considering buying in more. Deep Surface. Kamala ain't the first VP to look peen for a promotion. Oh, to suck penis for promotion. Yeah, no, yeah, probably. I look at Dan Quayle. Steady Eddie 1983. Sweep the leg, 4chan. We do not train to be merciful here. Yes, you will get no mercy from Anonymous. Real Anonymous, not the leftoid craptivists that pretend to be. Knoll Witcher 63 over on Rumble again. I'm sure Jill has to fuck herself these days, considering her husband is a potato. Yeah, she probably has a collection of diamond-studded dildos. Joker 1. Sticks, do you have to go back to the US every so often to maintain your visa, tax status, etc.? I did when I lived in Heidelberg years ago. No, you don't, actually. I have to pay US taxes. I don't have a choice as a US citizen. As far as the visa, no, I've got a US passport. I've got residency in the Netherlands. I can do whatever I want. Have to maintain here mostly in order to establish citizenship, which you have to learn the basics of the Dutch language and stuff. It's not that difficult overall. Glassich, second screen fund, clank on. Thank you very much. Yes, I do intend to get a second screen or even a second computer going because I want a more sophisticated setup. We have to upgrade. Oh, God. That means I've got to get my Luddite ass into order and learn how to do new tech things. Thinking this sent $20, but you didn't send a comment. I see a llama, I think, in your avatar there. Thank you very much. Josh, thoughts on Mark Dice, Steve Turley, and Ubersoy? Never heard of Ubersoy. Mark Dice seems cool. I don't have a problem with him. Michael Cricklow, when you're back in the U.S., come see the ruins of President's Park in Virginia. Very spooky, eerie place. I want to see the battlefield at Gettysburg, too. I want to see Salem. I've never actually been to Salem, which is funny. It's not that far from Vermont. Never actually been there. Maybe I'll do the midterm live stream from Salem. That'd be cool. I'll find the craziest ass, like witchy-looking wooden fucking inn, like an old salt box from the early 19th century, and I'll live stream from there. And then I'll go out and I'll go witch hunting. Long Dong John. So how about that bodega worker in New York getting a stay at Rikers for self-defense? That video is both insane and totally vindicating. I haven't looked into that so much, but I will. Okay, third news story here. This is from Bloomberg, so make sure to realize you got to take this with a grain of salt when you read it. Bloomberg Europe edition. Be grateful for crypto's well-timed meltdown. It's offering some valuable lessons at relatively low cost. Yeah, tell that to people that were crazy enough to buy into a 5 or 6 figure margin before it collapsed. Really, there's a reason that they're still holding on to it. They don't want to lose all of that money, and that's buoying it up, actually. They're holding it onto it. They're making a wise move. Disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so, I'm just speaking off the cuff here, my own personal anecdotal opinions. We'll read a little bit. With each passing day, the brave new world of cryptocurrencies is looking more like the perilous old world of Wall Street, circa 1929 or 2008. What a stunning endorsement of Obamonomics. Supposedly, stable investments are proving to be anything but. Specialized hedge funds, exchanges, and bank-like entities are imploding, having made highly leveraged bets with other people's tokens. Trillions of dollars in virtual wealth have vanished. How is that any different from someone withdrawing zeros and ones from a bank account where it's stored on a computer and there's no actual physical currency to back it? The world may never know. The right response? Relief that things didn't get even worse. See, Bloomberg has come out against crypto, along with a lot of the legacy media. They're making the same goddamn mistake that they made in the late 90s with dot-coms. Yes, there was a huge dot-com implosion. You'll remember, at the end of the 90s, early 2000s, Bush barely takes presidency. There's the dot-com bubble bursting. Are dot-coms more or less fucking valuable today than they were 20 years ago? Fucking more valuable. Some of them fell by the wayside. Others are doing fine. They're still there. Some of them became some of the most costly and valuable companies in the goddamn world. Google.com was an afterthought at the time. In fact, I'm not even sure that it had been incepted yet. Yahoo was the big dog at the time. Now it's a zombie company. Yes, some crypto will die out. This is my opinion, by the way. Again, it's not investing advice. Others will thrive. They are undervalued, massively, in my opinion. Once the reabsorption of all of the shit coins and some of the altcoins happen, and you've compacted the market into however many actual types of crypto continue to exist, Bitcoin, I think, will be one of them. Ethereum. I have a feeling Monero will survive. XRP has been mentioned a lot. A couple of the meme coins might do well. Shiba, Doge, those may still be around. Internet Computer and a few others, Litecoin potentially. Most of them will be burned off. All of that value will simply track into the other coins that exist. That's my opinion. And if that happens, much like the compacting of the dot-com sector after the bubble there, 99% of the dot-coms are worth less than, the other 1%. Once that compacting happens, where do you go up, especially with Bitcoin? It's a limiting return on mining the Bitcoin in the first place. It's a deflationary currency system. So they're trying to wage war on something they should be buying into. They're doing that maybe to depress the price in order for their corporate allies to buy more Bitcoin and things like that. They did this with the dot-coms, it seems, and with social media as well. You'll remember that all the legacy networks that badmouthed YouTube as a repository of hell and sin, they all have YouTube pages now. There's a reason for that. They're doing the same with TikTok at the moment. Bara7331, thoughts on the Biden DOJ suing Arizona for trying to prevent illegals from voting. Biden's DOJ can pound sand. They will lose that case. Peter Bosan, look up Jeffrey Sachs. Ukraine is the latest neocon disaster. And neo-lib disaster, I would say. 8 Vinstra, what happened to Pelosi? Did she die? I never see her anymore. Please don't tell me she's still alive. She is, but in a zombified state, I think. I don't know. The adrenochrome is not enough anymore. They're probably just giving her shots of embalming fluid at this point. Fire down below. What about the Sphinx in Egypt? Robert Schock years ago on the Jerry said the Sphinx had lines caused by water erosion from 12,000 years ago. Yes, below the Sphinx, definitely the area has eroded. My thoughts is that originally it was Anubis, and some sort of damage was caused probably to the elongated chin on the statue. And they said, well, shit. One of its ears fell off. The beard's gone. We're going to have to build a new one. And somebody else said, no. There's this other legend here. We can just shrink it down a little bit and, it'll be fine. And it'll be more stable because we don't have, the long ears, the big ass beard and stuff. And that's why the Sphinx has an abnormally small head for the paw size. The Egyptians were relatively into realism. If you look at their sculptures, if you look at things, there's stylization, but the proportions tend to be very realistic. The Sphinx is the goddamn only one that's not. I think that they shaved it down afterwards. It could have been religious in nature. It could have been due to damage to the statue, maybe by earthquake, maybe by erosion, maybe by vandalism. And they shrunk it down, and now we have the Sphinx today. I don't think that initially it was meant to be a Sphinx at all. Just my own personal opinion, my own personal theory. So yeah, there's a war on crypto, a war that they will lose. But it could just be a feint. They could just be trying to drive the price down so that their partners can invest more and more, and then they let the price rise later on. Meanwhile, people like me have diamond hands. Eric writes, how's your Dutch coming along? Any fun phrases, speech patterns you'd like to share? Wishing you and your family well. I'm not terrible at it. I'm better at reading and writing it than speaking and understanding it. That's the sticking point with me, because people in Dutch, they tend to speak very quickly, at least by my standards. And it makes it very difficult for me. I have to sit there and process it like I'm mentally ill or something before I can actually respond. With reading and writing, there's no such onus. You can read at your own pace, and it's a lot easier. I would tell you some of my favorite Dutch phrases, but they are all swear words. I'm a little bit unstable when it comes to these things. Michael Cricklow, the difference between .coms and crypto is that .coms are useful. So is crypto. That's why a lot of major banks and corporations already dabble in it. And not just Tesla. PayPal dabbles in it. PayPal's useful. David Lara, mellified Pelosi. Yeah, we should coerce her into just drinking nothing but honey. The real stuff, not the cheap corn syrup cut shit from China that she probably would import. Drink a bunch of honey and smear it all over her body and mellify herself. Then we encase her in a coffin when she dies full of honey, and let her sit for 6 months or so and turn into gelatin, and then we cut it up into little 1-inch squares and sell it as medicine. This is an old practice, by the way, in Arabia. P.A. Grunt. Here's the real deal on Hunter. Literally no one cares. The media will continue to run interference. The GOP is same country, different side. I care about the Hunter Biden material. I think you'll find a lot of other people do too. Perhaps you are underestimating people's desire for effectively what amounts to soap opera politics. Opinionated Junkie, thoughts on Spirit Airlines? I don't know what that is. We've also got another one over on Rumble. Not that Brandon. Love your work, Sticks. Thanks for the white pills. Clank on. Clank, clank. We're not clanking at the moment. We've got energy drinks. We needed something more powerful than coffee. Now we'll go to Volesky. Retired 3-star General Gary Volesky suspended for tweet mocking Jill Biden. Well, it's not really a mockery of Jill Biden. We'll go through it. A retired 3-star general has been suspended from his army contract after writing a social media post that appeared to mock First Lady Jill Biden. Kind of a semi-walk back from your title, but we'll get over that right now. Lieutenant General Theodore Martin, commanding general of the Combined Arms Center, has suspended retired Lieutenant General Gary Volesky from performing duties as a highly qualified expert, senior mentor, pending the outcome of the commander's inquiry. So he might get his job back. Here's what was posted. Jill Biden was saying weird shit. And for some reason, the actual tweet's not coming up here. Although it was here earlier, if I remember correctly. Anyway, she was talking about women and defending their rights. And Volesky weighed in, well, you finally know what a woman is. As in basically a shot across the bow. Katanji more than anything else. You'll remember that when she was being queried by the Senate, pending confirmation, she was asked if she could define what a woman was. Now, the definition is very, very simple. It's either adult human female, that's the one that's most commonly used. The Sticks definition is someone without a Y chromosome, because then that accounts for people who have chromosomal abnormalities. She couldn't answer the question. Biden doesn't want to answer the question. In fact, there should be a litmus test for politics. Can you please define what a woman is? Apparently, this is now an important thing to differentiate as far as whether someone's fucking crazy or not. But Volesky made this tweet publicly, and now he's been let go of. And it's not really a problem. I mean, he doesn't forfeit his official pension. He was a 3-star general, so he's making a fairly large amount of money just by existing at this point. But what a lot of people do, their former military brass or high-level intel, they just register and then they work with third parties. It could be Mercs, it could be a fucking bank, it could be literally the U.S. military. And in some cases, they're getting hundreds of dollars an hour just to advise younger brass within the military on the taxpayer dole. I don't care that he was fired. I think that they should all be fired because the program shouldn't exist at all. But I do find it very, very funny in the context of it being within the same 48-hour span as Jill Biden getting called a cunt by her stepson, Hunter Biden, who was clearly, on crack or at least booze at the time. I find this hilarious. It's like Jill Biden's and Joe Biden's worst day. Everything is crashing down around them. His wife is an unlikable bitch who's getting mocked by the former 3-star general who fucking knew what he was doing. He knew that he could face termination from this contract by making this tweet. It's only one sentence. He's still getting terminated, at least temporarily. You got the Hunter Biden laptop from hell, new revelations there. You've got the cracking of his phone, at least allegedly. By God, imagine being a member of the Biden family right now. Yeah, they're going to be dealing with this through the next wave of holidays, probably. Westfield 90, global ramifications of the collapse of Sri Lanka. No economic indicators globally because it's a very small economy, especially after the leftoids decided to destroy it. It is, however, definitely a fight against globalism. What Sri Lanka did is they ran up a shit ton of foreign debt. This is something Venezuela and other socialist nations typically do. The government there, at least until today, now that it's collapsed, partner of China, partner, by the way, of the Russian ruling regime as well, among others. So it's partnered with literal communists and socialists around the world. It is a left-wing government. They effectively use central planning, another leftist economic feature, to try to coerce all the farmers and so forth in the country to switch to organic only, thus buying more Chinese products in the process. They were getting fertilizer from China, which was inferior. And the crops failed. And they couldn't pay their debt because the economy took a hit. And lockdownerism, which is another socialist feature. Yes, it is far left to consider the government able to tell people they cannot go out and go to the fucking store. That is centralized, heavy-handed, hierarchical. It is leftist. It's not a laissez-faire sort of situation when the government can do that. Destroyed the tourist economy. So it's leftism from top to bottom. And that's the result. This has resulted from that. So it's important to point that out to people. There are some people that are claiming that's not the case. No, it's capitalism destroyed the Sri Lankans. The capitalistic deal with China, the capitalistic central interventionism, which is basically the new Green Deal on steroids that they imposed, the heavy debt spending, that's really capitalistic. Yeah, the government borrowed, enormous amounts of money beyond its economic capacity, speculating. Yeah, that's really laissez-faire capitalism. Okay. Marussia Dark, your midterm stream is another reason you should learn to use Discord, since you can have up to 100 guests in chat using staging, and you just select who can speak and then link OBS to Discord. Easy. No, it's not easy. Not for somebody like me. I like StreamYard. It works very well. Plus, Discord is tainted anyway by all sorts of crazy shit. The dregs of the internet use Discord commonly, so no thanks. Eric writes, no worries. Big ups for pronouncing my name properly. I'll share my own. Go ahead and ask your wife about the intricacies of this one. Vai azecht moit bezechen. Quick and dirty is finish what you started. Okay, I'll have to refer that to her. I'm sure I mispronounced that. I'm not good at doing that unless it's very, very slow. Vocalization, hard. Understanding, even harder. Reading and writing, reasonably easy. We've got another over on Rumble. Joker 1, General Gary Volesky has a Silver Star, Purple Heart, and Distinguished Service Medal, Legion of Merit. Jill Biden has the Order of the Baked Potato Spouse, 3rd class. Yeah. Now, she looks like the sort of person that would be like, doing the potatoes and the unseasoned chicken. But actually, she probably couldn't even cook a goddamn burrito. She's one of those wealthy bitches from the plantation home. She doesn't need to cook. She has the help to do that. She has the mammy. I'm sure that it's like a minstrel show back in Delaware at the Biden household. He walks in, he starts shuffling across the floor, and she's like, oh my, oh dear, Eustace, get me the smelling salts and the fainting couch. It's probably like straight up fucking Victorian. Goddamn hate people like that. They actually exist. You think that would end with the at least the 20th century, maybe even the 19th. Now we've got the New York Times, and they're saying the quiet part out loud. Links in the description, by the way, to all of these very, very juicy stories. And how many people are watching, by the way, right now? Yeah, we get almost 1,000 just on Rumble. We're pushing 4K right now. I didn't know. OMG puppies. U.S. State Department is destabilizing a lot of Asian countries, Sri Lanka, Thailand, etc., trying to prevent BRICS, not NATO alliance, forming on Asian continent. False. Sri Lanka's problems, much like Venezuela's problems, have nothing to do with Western interventionism. They have to do with sucking China's cock more than anything else. I loved it when people were blaming the CIA for what happened in Venezuela. And it's like, yeah, no, when you speculate multiple times your GDP on oil sales and the oil price collapses, you might have economic problems and not be able to pay your debt. Now, suffering from 500+% inflation. If you think Bidenomics is bad, communism is somehow even worse. Sri Lanka has the same fucking problem. A leftist government centrally intervened in the economy, borrowed a shit ton of money, speculating, tried to transfer their economy by buying shit from China. It failed, and now they're broke. That's the long story short. There doesn't have to be a goddamn conspiracy theory. You think that the Western governments give a shit about whether Sri Lanka, with its non-functioning military and its incapable third world economy, partners with China? I don't think so. I don't think they give a fuck. I think that they're more focused on India. As for Thailand, Thailand is reasonably westernized, so I don't think they're worried too much about that either. Tim Jones, how many more states would Trump have won if the MSM didn't stop themselves from reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop? Probably all of them, to tell the truth. And keep in mind, it will become an electoral issue come the midterms, because it just perfect timing. Right exactly early enough so people can digest everything, so that all the material can go out there, but not so early that people lose interest before the midterms. It was calculated release. That is probably the case. Anyway, the New York Times. Talk about throwing someone under the bus. At 79, Biden is testing the boundaries of age and the presidency. President Biden has said he plans to run for a second term. I think that's a lie. But his age has become an uncomfortable issue for him and his party. When President Biden leaves Tuesday night for a 4-day swing through the Middle East, he will presumably be more rested than he would have been had he followed the original plan. The trip was initially tacked onto another journey last month to Europe, which would have made an arduous 10-day overseas trek until it became clear to Mr. Biden's team that such an extended travel might be unnecessarily taxing for the 79-year-old president, or crazy, as one official put it. Aides, and these are Biden's aides, allegedly. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to give him the same fucking benefit of the doubt, even if I believe the story, that I gave Trump. When aides to the president, or an unnamed source, or a staffer in the White House, or a fucking janitor says something with regards to any politician, be skeptical, including for Joe Biden. We know he's demented, old, and decrepit, but that doesn't mean that this particular tale is true. So we'll get that out of the way first. I will give him the benefit of the doubt he doesn't deserve on this, but it's funny anyway. Aides also cited political and diplomatic reasons to reorganize the extra stops as a separate trip weeks later, but the reality is that managing the schedule of the oldest president in American history presents distinct challenges. And as Mr. Biden insists he plans to run for a second term, his age has increasingly become an uncomfortable issue for him, his team, and his party. I told you they'd probably try to put age on the table. If he doesn't run, and I don't think that he will because he is fucking demented, and by then he'll be half vegetative. Who does this harm? Think of the people that the legacy media and the neoliberals don't like. They openly don't like Trump. They openly don't like Bernie Sanders, who's even older than Biden. I think he's like 81 or something, because he fucks everything up because he's a fucking socialist lunatic. They also don't like Hillary. Trump and Hillary running, assuming it's Trump v. Hillary, that'd be hilarious. I support the notion. If they run in 24, they're both the same exact age that Biden was this last time around. Well, put age on the table. Try to get them both primaried. Try to knock them out and say, no, it's actually going to be Ted Cruz versus Pete Buttigieg. No choice 2024 is basically what they want. They are angling for this. I am telling you, they will pressure Biden to stand aside, and they will pressure, the entire legacy media will be talking about age. They will pay Biden a goddamn king's ransom just to ascribe age and decrepitude to the reason why he didn't want to run again, if they're successful in pressuring him to do so. If he does run again, he loses in a landslide, so I'm hoping that he does. I want to see Incoherent Joe lose his bowel movement on stage. I want to see him shit his pants in a live debate. I want to see the ultimate humiliation of someone who so deserves it. Let's see. Spider Eternal, how do you like your eggs? Best wishes to you and yours. I have eaten eggs many ways, and I like them all. Over easy, hard-boiled, soft-boiled, scrambled, of course, in many ways. Omelets. I've eaten eggs raw. Did one on a video, actually, like 2 years ago. I just put an egg in a shot glass and shot it down during a live stream. It's not bad, actually. It tastes a little bit like the protein supplements that bodybuilders drink. Westfield 90, as the West seems to be self-sabotaging themselves with wokeness, China is making inroads in Africa and South America. What is China's Achilles heel? The fact that their economy is entirely reliant on Western investment and will collapse if the Western economies suffer. They can't do jack shit. They just seem like they can. Everything's on credit in China anyway. They have as much of a debt problem as the United States does. Jaegerbomb 2. Why is Brandon still in office? How much longer can he possibly hope to stay in after all his treason? Who still supports him at this point? Mainly a majority of partisan Democrats and a handful of left-wing ideologues that still vainly think he's going to do what they want him to do. That's why his approval is now in the mid-30s. Marushia Dark, Biden's aide sounds like meme magic, dual meaning. Not bad. Yeah, you could go with that. Hunter Biden probably has aides, like literal aides. Full-blown aides. It wouldn't surprise me at all, considering, I mean, he spent years just smoking crack and fucking hookers, sometimes 3 or 4 at a time. So, you know, I don't know how much protection a crackhead uses. Speaking of crackheads, again, keep in mind, I will have Sleazy P. Martini as co-host for the midterm live stream that I will be doing in November. Definitely give his channel a subscription. He's soared past 14,000 subscribers last I checked before the stream, so let's get him to 15K today. Let's give him a little bit of a kickback for getting aboard the stream. It's going to be pretty good. Fish and Chimps. Hunter has AIDS? I don't know. I'm just saying that if you fuck hundreds of hookers and you're a crackhead, so maybe protection is not necessarily forefront in your mind. It's possible. And how do we know he wasn't injecting drugs? We don't have any proof that he wasn't into heroin at one point. Sharing some needles with his hooker friends or his stripper friends, like the one he got pregnant out from under his dead brother's former wife. Sleazy P. Martini was sure happy last night after you blew him up. We'll continue into a second day. Clankers always come through. Opinionated Junkie, would you drive or fly to travel in the U.S.? Oh, if I'm within the U.S., unless I'm going to Alaska or Hawaii or Puerto Rico or something, mostly driving. Although taking a cruise would be fun. You know, you go from, I drive to Boston, take a cruise down to Florida or something like that. That'd be kind of fun. I've never been on a cruise. I know some people say, well, cruise ships, they kind of suck. I would probably spend a little bit extra for the bells and whistles to make sure that it didn't. I'm assuming if you'd like going on the Caribbean Cruise Lines thing and they're, everything's waitlisted and here's the cabin without a window on the lowest deck next to the fucking generator that nobody wanted, and we can get it for you for only $50 just to fill it up. I'm assuming that would suck. But if you put out a little bit more money, it's probably fairly fun. I do like being at sea. Went on a couple of whale watches in high school and been on Lake Champlain on some of their larger ferry ships. That's actually really fun. It's more fun on a lake than on the ocean, by the way. Westfield 90, what is preventing India from becoming a first world power? If China, Russia, and the West collapses, wouldn't mind India leading the world. Well, the West won't collapse. That's a meme. India is definitely going to be part of that Western hegemon, though. It's happening, especially if we get Trump back in 2024, it'll be expedited. I think it's inevitable that they will run up against China at some point. But they got nukes, so China can't do jack shit to them. OMG puppies. Yeah, you're probably right about Sri Lanka. Thailand is definitely getting the Soros National Endowment for Democracy treatment. U.S. versus China vying for influence. Oh, yeah, it happens in many such cases. Ukraine is another example of this. Korea got torn in half by this decades ago. Mazeman01, do you bike like every other Dutch person? No, my one main qualification for being truly Dutch, I can't do because I cannot ride a bike. I never learned. If I get on a bike and try to move, I just tip right over. I'm thinking about getting one of those that has like the thing in front for groceries, or you can put your baby in it. So it's got the extra wheel. That I would be able to ride. And because we've got a child, I wouldn't look weird doing so. See, I have an excuse. I can learn how to ride a bike as long as it has a third wheel. Chucky's or us, I'm very out of touch with politics, but from what I can see, it seems as the Democrats want a Republican in office. Or do you think that they're all really that delusional? What are your thoughts? I think they're just delusional. They really think that they're winning right now, and it's bizarre at times. Joe Nerf Herder. China is currently buying up America's food production. Some of it. Although you do have to understand, this happened with Japan in the 80s and 90s. Their economy really took off, but smart Japanese investors realized that the limited growth was eventually going to be a problem. And indeed, Japan has suffered these problems. Shinzo Abe, by the way, dying the other day, he took care of some of these problems and ameliorated some of the worst damage. But they have problems in their economy. Population ain't growing, investment dried up, etc. They have to fend for themselves. Intelligent Japanese businessmen bought up vast tracts of land, fucking factories, apartments, and everything throughout the 80s and 90s. And people at the time worried Japan was going to own the United States. Oh my God, it's a matter of time. Our Japanese overlords, they're going to become imperialistic again and start World War III. And of course, that never happened. And I don't think the average person, including people who are like fucking populistic, nobody cares that there are a bunch of Japanese Americans. They consider them an asset to the country. In time, the same will happen with the Chinese. Most of those investors, those investors creating an anchor for themselves in the US and moving in, they're not communists for the most part. The infiltrators are the ones you don't know about. If I want to infiltrate another country, which am I going to do? Very, very visibly buy up 100,000 acres of land or a bunch of factories so that I'm in all of the newspapers. Everybody goddamn knows that I'm there, and people who don't like me will be breathing down my neck. Or do I very, very quietly take up a position under a work visa. And I go into a company, into middle management, and because of my contacts back home, I work my way up a little bit more quickly than normal. But I'm just a normal employee. I happen to be from China or the US or Russia or wherever. If I wanted to spy on another country, infiltrate them, and subvert them, I wouldn't buy vast tracts of land in that country. If I were an internal subverter like Bill Gates, then I probably don't give a shit. If I was China, that's not how I would do it. Think the way that your enemy thinks, and the truth will become clear. Source, I'm confused. I thought the Biden admin was AIDS. No, the Biden administration is cancer, actually. Tom Bernstein for New Hampshire governor. Tom Bernstein, the only conservative that can overtake Rhino Chris Sununu. A vote for Tom Bernstein is a vote to prevent schools from implementing mask mandates in our public schools. That sounds good, although I don't think there are any plans for a mask mandate. And you got the Free State Project there. I don't know anything about Tom Bernstein, but I'll have to look it up. So if you're in New Hampshire, we've got apparently a political ad for Tom Bernstein. Viking Woman 1988, Jay's Vars and I say howdy. Let the clank happen. We're clanking all fucking day. Anyway, we've got one more. And of course, for some reason, what the hell? Did I grab the wrong link or something? Or did it jump to another video because I took too long? Okay, good. Yeah, link in the description. Again, you can follow along with all this shit. And we have part of Trump's speech in Anchorage, Alaska the other day. If ever you needed a reason to believe that he is indeed running in 2024, fucking take a look. It's only 25 minutes long. It's not, I think, the entire speech. The first couple of minutes are a little wonky audio-wise, and there's a couple of ads on this particular one, but it's pretty good, generally speaking. He effectively confirms that he is running in 2024, saying, well, maybe we need to fix these things if the people of Alaska will permit it. And then he just great standing ovation. He turns around and he's like, America number one. I think he's running. I think that much is clear that is his plan. Good. I want Trump 2024. I'll vote for him in a heartbeat. I think it would be the best thing for us. Look at the shit that's going on in the country, not just the country, but around the world. Think back to the roughly 3 years of the goddamn Trump administration prior to COVID, but after the first couple of months. They're a goddamn golden age compared to what we're going through now, compared to what we went through before. You have to go back to a very brief period prior to 9/11, late 90s, dawn of the 2000s, to find anything economically remotely as stable. And you really have to go back to first term Ronald Reagan. We're talking 82 or 83 to find a period in which there was as much optimism as we had under Trump. Yes, I want that back. If people think that makes me a Trump-pansy or something like that, I just don't give a shit. There is no comparison to Joe Biden. Joe Biden is goddamn trash compared to Trump. I realize he's also trash compared to every other president that we've had, at least in living memory. Hell, I'd rather have Jimmy Carter back. If the Democrats had decided, if the Democrats tomorrow said, hey, Jimmy may be in his 90s and have cancer several times, but we're going to primary Joe Biden, we're just going to get Jimmy Carter back, I would take a Dem ballot and I'd fucking vote for Jimmy Carter, just in the off chance that it actually works and there's a Dem candidate that at least pretends to care. To tell the truth, Joe Biden has been such an abysmal failure that you could end up with any Johnny-come-lately Republican beating him. What's the problem then? If Trump stands down and you have a free-for-all primary system, you may end up with Ted Cruz. You may end up with Little Marco. You may end up with Jeb Bush. You could end up with anybody under the sun. Well, no, I don't. Damn right I don't want any of these morons. Rand Paul may or may not even jump in. DeSantis is iffy about even running, even if Trump stands down. So the other two qualified candidates that I can see, or particularly qualified candidates, they might not even run. I don't want a situation where the Republicans are choosing between Ted Cruz, the cringy butter cow backstabber on the NSA, on a million other issues, is running against Little Marco, who's more principled somehow than Ted Cruz, despite having no principles, and fucking Jeb Bush and all these other morons. Yes, get Trump back, and then whoever he chooses as VP hopefully is better than Pence. Hopefully it's Rand, maybe it's DeSantis, maybe it's somebody else. Hopefully it's somebody, maybe it's Flynn. That's what I thought he should have done in 2016. And then they can run. And we can have a couple of good dynastic terms with the same basic concept, the same basic economic and social premise, and we can get back to fucking work. And we can put the inflation back in the bottle, tell the WEF to fuck itself, withdraw from the Paris Climate Accords, guard the border, actually do something about crime, not constantly say that the Supreme Court is illegitimate because it doesn't agree with us. Wouldn't it be nice to go back to those glorious years, 2017, 2018, 2019, and how deliciously fun they were compared to what we're suffering through now? Yes, damn right, I will vote for Trump if he runs again. I do not care if people call me an apologist because I intend to do so. And if he doesn't run, oh, Lord help us, I suppose. I really, really hope that Rand runs, or DeSantis, because they're the only other two people that are there that I can see that have viability and sanity. So I hope Trump runs. By the way, shit, we've got almost 4,500 people watching cross-platform. This is, God, I think this might be a fucking record as far as a non-main live stream, like a midterm stream or something. Anyway, so you look at that. Again, link in the description. Trump in Anchorage. He effectively confirms, I can't remember the timestamp that was on here. Just watch the whole thing. It is a fairly good speech. He's back in prime form as of this particular rally. He's more coherent. He's much more energetic. He's definitely back in the game, in my opinion. I would say 99% chance that Donald Trump runs. Look at the fucking sign, Save America. That sounds like a branding slogan for a campaign now, doesn't it? It doesn't really sound like the sort of thing you put on the podium just because you're there to stump for Sarah Palin. Oh, that's all well and good. He likes Sarah Palin. He's endorsed her, etc. She'll probably win by a considerable margin, by the way. He's ragging on Murkowski. He's saying Save America, and here's what I did, and here's what Biden has done. Maybe we need to change these things. Hey, Alaska, will you give me permission to do it again? How much closer can you get to an announcement of an official presidential campaign? So good on Trump. Please do run, and just try one thing, Trump. One thing, Donald. At the debates, just calm down a little bit, because Biden, especially if he's the opponent, will say weird shit. Let him talk. Let him talk over you, because he'll say retarded things and then he'll have enough rope to hang himself. That's what he should do. The second presidential debate between him and Biden was effectively a goddamn freak show. I was angry at Trump because he wouldn't let Biden speak, not because I care about what Biden has to say, but because Biden will say stupid things and alienate everyone. And of course, he'll have had 4 more years in order to metastasize his dementia even more. Trump can't lose if he gets in here, if he's running against someone like Biden. Gorgeous man. Curious what the Dutch say about the Second Amendment, especially with recent tyranny. Have you talked to any of the Dutch about it? I don't really bring up politics too much to other people here. As far as Liz goes, she's not anti-gun. She's not as gung-ho about them as me, but she's like the stereotype of Europeans as hating or fearing guns, in my opinion, maybe not so true, at least among Dutch people. I haven't met many other people from other countries. Eric writes, close second before I head to bed. Daar heb ik geen kaas van gegeten. I don't know jack squat about that, or more literally, I haven't eaten from that cheese. Check you later, gamer. I know what kaas is. I eat it quite frequently. Smear kaas, blue kaas, every other kaas. I like kaas. I can't help it. Cheese is great. Fits right in with that anti-milk article from the other day, from that crazy leftoid from Vice News. Westfield 90, with such selective bias by the DOJ and FBI, i.e. Trump's team arrested, will sanity be restored, or have the public been sufficiently dumbed down to care? I think that order can be restored. We still have a chance to take back our republic. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and get all black-pilled. That's what the people that want to fuck you in the ass want. Because if you're totally black-pilled, you won't even fight them. And so necessarily, they win. They're afraid that you'll fight back. Michael Cricklow, do you think all the farmland Bill Gates is buying will be problematic for the U.S. in the future? Now, it's not enough to be problematic for economic or social purposes. What I worry about is that he's going to test a bunch of Frankenfood there or something. Hey, we've developed a plant that vaccinates you, and we're going to force you to eat it. We're going to put it in the school lunches or something. Hello, Kitty. Hi, thanks for these daily news commentaries. I'm on vacay, sightseeing in Bergen at the moment. At home in Cali, possible masking again. I don't know if it's Bergen or Bergen. I've been in the Netherlands too long. I can't pronounce a G anymore. Possible masking again. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Although seeing all the crazy people in places like LA, you almost want them to wear a mask so you don't have to see all of their face. Bad Dragon Breath. Hey, Sticks, would you go back to living in the US after leaving and experiencing Europe, or would you prefer to stay there? Hashtag expat NFT. I like both. There's advantages and disadvantages on both sides of the pond, and I'm at leisure to travel back and forth between both of them. So I can come have bitterballin', then I can go and have shepherd's pie. Then I can come and have croquette and go to the beach. Then I can go in and hike a mountain. Yeah, it's a pretty great life. Fun12 on Twitch. What if Roger Stone won? Yeah, any updates on the Roger Stone case? I haven't seen him. Sparky, enjoyed your collaboration with Sleazy P. Martini. Yeah, more to come during the midterms. I'll be live with him for 4 fucking hours or more. That's going to be lit. There were 26,000 people live streaming the last midterms in 2018 that I did. It was money I checked. It was an enormous number of people. I don't know what to expect this time because now I've got 100,000 more subscribers and a co-host with a significant audience. But I'm also algorithmically throttled by YouTube. I'm thinking about planning the live stream several days beforehand and sharing out the link autistically for several days. Orchid Finance. I'd be concerned if Trump picks Dr. Oz as his running mate. That might be a no-go zone for me, considering that I don't want a president of the United States with dual citizenship. In fact, I'm not even sure it'd be legal, which is probably why he won't choose him. By the way, Mehmet Oz will probably lose, so, fuck him. Worst mistake Trump has made in the last year is endorsing Mehmet Oz. Sparky, Trump needs to be careful about whom he hires. Yes, that is the one biggest bitch that you can have about Trump. Not about how effective he is or, his heart being in the right place or anything, but rather the people he surrounds himself with. They are the problem in many cases. Elise Hart sent $2 without a comment. Thank you. Let's see. Please don't send any more super chats, by the way. We're headed up on an hour, and I think we do have still one more news report. Oh, yes, the AP's fact checker. That'll be a funny one. So, yes, Trump, I believe, is running. To be clear, there's a 99% chance of that. Pulsar Fusion, if Trump runs, he needs to drain the swamp by not hiring swamp rats as his aides and advisors this time. He made some good hires like Flynn. Unfortunately, he also made some mistakes in hiring. Sparky, Trump should avoid Haspel and Pompeo. Agreed. Pompeo's not that bad, but he's a bit of a fair-weathered friend. SCP-79, I heard that you were looking into leaving Windows. Mental Outlaw may be a content creator worth looking into. He is also very in touch with crypto and cybersecurity and the feds. Odyssey.com at AlphaNerd8. Interesting. He's in touch with the feds? I don't know if that's a good thing, though. Ethan H. Bay. Sticks, you have to try the first-person survival game called The Long Dark. Perma-winter in Canada. The only baddies are wolves and bears. That sounds interesting. Can I build a cabin with auto turrets on it? The Pond. Sticks likes the other side of me. I like both sides of the pond. It's pretty great. Sounder Siren 07. Great work, Sticks. As a fellow US-EU resident, Austria, is the EU doomed to fall to WEF insanity? I really do like it here, but damn. I think the EU is eventually doomed to fail anyway. And this globalist attempt is like a last-minute effort to hammer it back together and subjugate people. I hope it doesn't happen. Daryl Weed, are the Dutch farmers rising against the government more? Yes, they're still there. You're not going to hear about it on the mainstream news, but you can look up the hashtag Boren and Opstand on Twitter. Hunter Wadley, I think the Dems are going to run Newsom in 24. Weird seeing him trying to bash DeSantis on freedom. It'd be such a terrible idea to run Newsom since he's from a solidly blue state and has a solid blue constituency and a solid blue mentality. That is not going to work in a swing state. They would be crazy to run him. They'd be much better off with Buttigieg. In my opinion, he and a very small number of others, at Gillibrand, for instance, are the only ones in the party that are qualified to run and potentially win. I can't see anyone else capable of it against Trump or possibly any other Republican. Westfield 90, sorry to disagree. Nothing mobilizes media, tech, academia, deep state government, and every leftist than a Trump candidacy. Trump won 2016. Many Dems believed Hillary was a shoo-in and sat it out. I think more Dems will sit it out this time around. And I base this, just a second. All right, everyone, just a second. I will be live in a second. I have to mute things. I have to do some diaper duties. So I'll be right back after my fatherly duties. All right, everyone, I am now back. It's a very interesting times. Let's see. Trump won 2016. Many Dems believed Hillary was a shoo-in and sat it out. I think that there will be more sitting it out among Dems in this election. There is no enthusiasm for Biden. The problem is that Biden can't also say, well, I'm going to crack the glass ceiling. And so he doesn't have that advantage that Hillary had. Also, he's somehow less likable and certainly less coherent. Sparky, the Duran is the best for geopolitical news and commentary. No, I am. Jake of all trades, 111. Any word on a motive in the Abe shooting? Sorry for the late chat. Keep crushing, buying Glocks, and growing food. I think I did see earlier that they were trying to blame religion for it. I call bullshit. I think that that's a cover piece by the Japanese government to not stoke up riots in the wake of him being killed. Again, please no more super chats. Now I am, I think, significantly behind. I'm trying to, where was I anyway? It jumped to the bottom. Ram and Jam, check out Johnny's reloading bench on YouTube for making hunting and defensive ammo. I don't think I'd trust myself to hand load ammunition. I think I might be losing a finger or two, and I need those to be able to type up the fucking books. Sparky, no, Pompeo is that bad. Yeah, and somehow he wasn't the worst. Sparky, example, Pompeo kept Trump from pardoning Assange. Yeah, I think most of his advisors kept him from that. And by the way, if he wins again, he may very well pardon him because he has nothing to lose because he doesn't have a re-election bid. Talk about legendary if that occurs. Yes, nature did call, but it wasn't me that needed to go. The baby had a diaper issue. Sometimes it takes two people, you know. If you've never had a child, you might not know this. Cosmic Surgeon, despite a horrific launch, the video game you are describing as your preference is Fallout 76. It's better now. Stop fighting it. Yeah, no thanks. Glitch City. Wasn't too much into it. Played it a little bit for a while. Sparky, McConnell kept Trump from pardoning Assange too. He might be on his way out. He's who is it? Rick Scott Pussyface is trying to knock him off. Not that that's much of an improvement. I want Rand Paul as the head of the Senate if he's not going to be Trump's running mate. Zach the Celtics guy. Breaking news. Cenk and Anna fought each other over their differing views in a video called LARPers Pretend to be Americans for the 4th of July. Sounds interesting. I don't want to give him any views, though. Mug of War. Now, let's flood him with super chats. There are people that would do that, too. Anyway, one last news story here. And it is, this one is definitely on the amusing side of things. AP Fact Check over on Twitter. Again, link in the description. You can read this for yourself. Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister of Japan, who was assassinated on Friday, did not tweet about Hillary Clinton the day before he died. A screenshot purporting to show such a tweet was fabricated. The fact that they felt the need to actually fact check this is goddamn hilarious. The joke is, what do you know about Hillary Clinton? He made this tweet about Hillary Clinton and said he had, information that would cause her indictment. And the AP itself had to fact check it for several reasons. Number one, enough people gave a shit about the topic. And number two, apparently enough people actually believed the screenshot that they did damage control. I find this hilarious. Hillary Clinton having people assassinated has become such a potent meme that even though it is so obviously and self-evidently tongue-in-cheek, they still have to perform a fact check on the screenshot. How hilarious can this be? In fact, I'm wondering, on the AP News link, wondering if they actually have the shot here. No, unfortunately, I don't think that they have it there. Claim, a screenshot shows that Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister of Japan who was assassinated on Friday, tweeted, "I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton." This is like the most long-term political meme at this point that's still relevant. That and Let's Go Brandon. AP's assessment, false. Abe did not tweet this statement, which is a reference to a long-running internet meme. No shit. I mean, the AP is your audience entirely baby boomers or something? Did you had to point this out? A screenshot purporting to show this tweet has been fabricated. Again, no D, dude. Abe's verified Twitter account uses a different username and profile picture than the ones shown in the altered image. So in other words, if you probably could have fooled the AP. If these people had worked a little bit harder and used the verified account and used that fake tweet generator, probably the AP wouldn't have been able to tell that it wasn't real and then not scrubbed from the page or something like that. You can even play around with the time of posting on a fake tweet. Those generators, you can literally do anything you want with them. They probably could have fooled the AP fact checkers into thinking that it was real. Would they have then had a fact check and said, well, we're not exactly sure. This claim is now unverified, but possible. That would have been even funnier. Can you imagine the people at the fact-checking office punching themselves in the head in a spurred outrage over the fact that they actually have to fact-check something that everyone under 50 would know wasn't real? Mitchell Valentino, definitely check out Mental Outlaws channel to help get off Windows. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Oh, yes, Katani and 17. NPR was fucked up what they said about Shinzo Abe. Yes, did you see that? You remember when Castro died? And NPR was like, well, he was a very transformative figure and great revolutionary. And they sugarcoated the Castro regime. Shinzo Abe dies and they say, well, the divisive far-right evil Shinzo Abe has finally keeled over. Huzzah and Heil Stalin. Basically, I'm being hyperbolic, but it was like night and day. I could only remember, what was it? Who was it that they described as an astute scholar or something like an austere scholar? Wasn't that like the former head of ISIS or Al Qaeda or some shit? And I think NPR actually was one of the people headlining that. Abu Bakr, yeah. By Piche, 1983 on Twitch. Thank you very much. DeSantis and Massey. I'm not a huge DeSantis and Massey stan or anything like that. Austere religious scholar. Oh, boy. But NPR, keep in mind that NPR is at least slightly publicly funded. Just to be clear, it's a minority of the amount of money that they get, but they do still get some of your taxpayer money. I have to give my tuppence to NPR each year for them to openly lie and propagandize and encourage people like me to be silenced. And they have. NPR is constantly in favor of censorship. And they're not the worst. Just think about how bad other elements of the funded legacy media are. Whole British media, basically. Zach the Celtics guy, that's disgusting. I think some people blow Castro way out of proportion, but what they said about Abe just shows the hypocrisy on their behalf. Yeah, it was like night and day. Castro kills tens of thousands of people, locks his entire country down, at one point almost causes World War III, although, yes, the U.S. was partially to blame for that whole kerfuffle as well. Oh, he was a great revolutionary, great guy. Yeah, he's a very transformative and forward-thinking. Fuck Shinzo Abe. Jesus Christ. Fucking Nazi. Pig Bear Man, can't believe you name drop Empire Earth. Nobody knows that game. The bell tolls for thee. Haha, clank. Anyway, I'm going to go off now. We've run an hour 10 here, and there's other things that I have to do as well. Funwan2 on Twitch. Castro was educated by a Jesuit priest. Not surprising. I mean, Hispanic in the pre-modern era. Pretty much no other way to get educated if you're Cuban at that point. They had some problems. Communism didn't solve them. So yeah, good live stream. For some reason, almost 4,500 people at peak tuned in. That's way more than usual, and the new usual is higher than it used to be. I don't know, the streams seem to be working. Keep in mind, of course, for the midterms, I will be live with Sleazy P. Martini. So set your calendar dates. I don't even know exactly which date it's going to be in November, but I'm planning way, way ahead for this one. We're going to be pulling out all the stops for the most epic show ever. Maybe I should get some fucking fireworks or something. That's about all. Peace out.